boom, studio updates.
Right.
This year in NCAA 13, we are bringing studio updates into our game. And what these are, they are live break-ins to your game that are going to be just like what you see on ESPN. You're going to have live updates through all 4 quarters. You're going to see updates that are going to show the 1-score screen. You might see 4 scores, 3 scores, 2 scores, anything in between. You might see a 1-score mixed with a 4-score. So just like you see on ESPN, authentic to ESPN's presentation. And the coolest thing, too, these tie into that bottom line ticker. They're living, right? You're going to get general score alerts. You're going to get top 25 scores, upset alerts, BCS updates, big days for players. Everything that you see happening in that Sunday within your time frame, and even what happens before, you're going to get via Studio Update. You know, it's an update for games in progress and also final. You're also going to get full player stats in those. And the team has worked very, very, very hard on these, especially with tuning the logic, to make sure that we are bringing you Studio Updates that are relevant to your user team to enhance your Dynasty experience. If you're a Big Ten school, of course, we're going to break you in on a major upset that happens. Of course, we're going to break you in on a battle between the number 4 and 5 teams out in the SEC. But what we want to bring you is relevant Big Ten information. We'll see a couple scores up there that might directly affect my conference standings or my BCS standings and so on and so forth. So even if you're in a Sun Belt or one of these smaller conferences, the Mountain West, we just want to make sure that these are as relevant to your Dynasty as possible while also highlighting the huge plays and huge performances throughout the country.
Yeah, and also with that, too, are rivals and rivalries. Iowa State fans, if Iowa is losing a game, even though that doesn't impact their conference race, they're still a revel in that fact. They're going to love that. And so you want to get that update through the course of the game. And I think what is really interesting about this is the fact that it's not a just halftime or just post-game or anything like that. It's throughout the course of your game organically, so that it gives you a chance to give you multiple updates on the same game throughout the course. So if it is a huge upset in the making and the lower-ranked team gets out to a huge lead, but then here comes the juggernaut back to take the lead and go through, you get to experience that as it's going on. I think that's a really cool, unique aspect that we have in the game that we've never had before. And I mean, like we're talking about how we consume games and how we watch games. I mean, I remember back what I think was the 06 season, the Bush Push game, right? That game came down to the very last second. That score by SC to beat Notre Dame was so exciting. And if you were fast enough, you could click over and see the very end of the Michigan-Penn State game where Manningham scored a touchdown at the very last second. And then, I'm forgetting the third one. There's a third game that if you were fast enough on the trigger, you could jump over and see the end of that game. So like in the span of 2 minutes, you got the end of 3 separate games. This is kind of a very similar situation here where we can take you to these other games and show you what's happening, that you feel like all these are happening right at the same time. And maybe you just scored to take the lead in your game, and it cuts you out to another game where another team upsets in the works because they scored to take the lead. It's kind of this whole college football world going on that's really exciting.
Yep, and it further tells the story of what's happening on your Saturday. And it's as Ben mentioned, it's exciting. You go ahead, and we've had guys here in the studio playing through games. You've got other people watching over their shoulders as these updates come in and these stories unfold. It's like, oh no, these guys are going to be upset. Right. This is, huge, and Texas State might knock off LSU or something like that. So it's really exciting, and it adds to that immersion, that college football feel. And of course, when you think studio updates,
this is the one you've been waiting months to say.
Somebody's updating us on all these.
Somebody has to be updating on these, right? So our mystery voice talent, there was really no other choice.
It's me.
It's me.
It
is.
No.
Congratulations. First and foremost, thank you.
I got paid a lot of money. You guys never.
Yeah. There's only one voice that captures studio updates. And it's been kind of funny. We've been going around the community, and not a whole lot of people have guessed it, but we're very happy to announce that Mr. Reese Davis will be joining us here in NCAA Football 13, the voice of our studio updates. Extremely excited to have him. Just absolutely outstanding from our first meeting with him to the last session, just being able to sit down. Reese is a huge fan of NCAA football. He plays it religiously with his son. Yeah. And they just, he's loving the fact that he's a part of the experience, but also, we sat down with him, and I'll kind of go over here. We sat down with him the first meeting and said, Reese, listen, it's very important to us that studio updates capture your unique and colorful delivery style. I mean, Reese Davis has such a wealth of football knowledge, but he delivers it in such a colorful way that it's authentic to him. And in order for studio updates to really go, it's cool that we got all these pop-ins and wipes of the scores and whatnot, but to really capture that feel of studio update, we needed him to stay as authentic to Reese Davis as possible. That means Michigan State is Sparty, right? Michigan is Michigan, and all those fun little quirky things that Reese does, just to have him own that feature. And what's really cool about it is we utilize Reese and our new ad-lib style, our new stitching techniques, and our new commentary engine to really craft a feature that has tremendous depth to it. It is like a choose-your-own-adventure storybook. There's so many different studio updates that you can get. None of them should be the same. It's almost like a dice roll. You get your team names in there, you get your scores, you get something that happened in there, and Reese just sort of organically says it like you would in real life. So it's very exciting.
It's really interesting in that he has such a unique flair and a unique voice, and the way he says those things, it's unique to him, and it's a chance for us to start brand new and fresh.
Yep.
With Herb Street and with Nestler, we were building on a foundation of 10 years of recording with those guys. This was Reese's first time in, so we had a chance to really start from scratch of how we're going to have him sound and use this new system to have everything be 100% Reese and not kind of a mix of how we did things 5 years ago versus 7 years ago versus now. It's all Reese, all now, and he took to it so quickly. I mean, I think that's one of the funniest parts was he was talking about how much he loves the game and how much his son loves the game, and he's like, I do a lot of what I think are kind of cool events. I'm here doing this and doing that, and my son's just like, wow, Dad, you're gonna be a part of the game. Like that's the coolest thing that he's ever thought his dad would do. He's like, oh yeah, I've done a game or two here that are pretty high profile, but I've never been a part of NCAA football, and that's now kind of the feather in his cap for his son that his son looks up to him even more because he's a part of our game, which is kind of a weird feeling. And Nestler tells us the same sort of stories. It's kind of really funny.
I'll kind of get down to this as well and kind of recap, but we're also having Reese do a live look in from the studio. We've changed the flow of the beginning of our game. Every game now starts with Reese talking about the players warming up, the players stretching, giving a context to your game, whether it's talking team-specific, stadium-specific, top 5 battles, top 25 battles, big BCS games, 1v2, bowl games. Reese is setting the stage for what you are going to see, and then he sends it out to Brad and Kirk, which is a really cool new flow. And as Ben mentioned, hearing him go through these without missing a beat, setting the stage for him, saying, today we have a game in South Carolina in Williams-Brice Stadium. Go. And just giving us without a hesitation on one take all this great stuff about South Carolina and the lore and the history and even Texas State.
Right.
We've got some nuggets in there. But, Ben and I were talking about this a little bit about a week ago, is one of the coolest parts about having Reese in there is going to be for the pregame introductions, but also the studio updates, hearing the personalized attention that every single school got in our game. It doesn't matter if you're Central Michigan or Michigan. Everyone has unique personalized stuff that's true to their school. And it's almost like an Easter egg hunt to go through and try to hear them all.
I mean, I think because Reese does so much with college football and college basketball, and being a guy in the studio, he does updates from a lot of different schools. So it wasn't a question with a lot of pronunciation and things like that, because he said Joe IA Stadium and he said Ypsilanti and he said these things so many different times that it wasn't a worry of those sort of things. But I think I remember the school in question, and we don't have to maybe mention it, he was kind of drawing a blank on what to do. Like, what do I say for this school? And Christian, being from Michigan, is like, well, they got a mall there. that's the best we can talk about. But he did a great job of really bringing color and personality and life to each of those locations and those rivalries and everything about that. And I think we've waited long enough. Let's kind of jump in and do some of these examples.
Let us. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about this. The glue kind of holding everything together, bringing everything full circle, is Brad. And, Brad is going to comment after Reese's studio update how what we just saw in that update, if it did, impacts your game. So, did you just see somebody lose that was ahead of you in the polls? Right. Brad's going to mention it. Chance of BCS positioning. moving up in conference standings. If you're an Ohio State guy and you just saw an update on Michigan losing, is your fan base going to be celebrating that loss of that hated rival?
Right.
Is an update team on your schedule next week? How do you prepare for that team based on their current result? If a team is absolutely blowing somebody out, you've got them on your schedule next week. Maybe Brad pops in and talks about, you've got these guys on your schedule next week, and their defensive coordinator is going to have his hands full game planning for those guys and that offense. Did you play that update team last week? So basically, any game that's updated or highlighted by Reese in a studio update that has a direct impact on your game, Brad is going to tell you about it. And that's really a cool, I think my favorite part of the feature, because you've got this awesome Reese stuff that's in there. He's updating you on what's going on in the country, and then Brad brings it full circle, brings it together and says, awesome, thank you, Reese. Boy, so-and-so team, they're going to really have to step their game up if they want to move up in the conference standings, knowing that result. Or, hey, you don't want to look too far ahead a week, but, you've got these guys on your schedule, and they're really looking down. Stop them while they're down. So
it was important for us to have Nestler bring it home and kind of give it closure to what you just saw and how it relates, because you don't want it to seem so disjointed that number one and number two we're just doing battle and you got this awesome update and Brad's like, all right, and here we are with our game, completely non-existent knowledge of what he just saw. Have it feel like it's a smart system that they know what they just witnessed.
Yeah, so it's that continual strive to tie presentation and Dynasty mode and make that feel as if it's encapsulating a week of college football. And that's huge for us.
And one thing I don't know if we've noticed or mentioned, but this is also part of Online Dynasty. This is not just for regular Dynasty mode. We haven't talked about that yet.
So it's an Online Dynasty as well. So you'll be seeing updates across the board in your Online Dynasty, which is pretty cool. So
I think that's one of our most important things every year with Dynasty and Online Dynasty, is that we make sure that we're doing it one for one. That we don't create a feature just for offline that doesn't have an online application. And there might be some things that we can do in an online space we can't do in the offline version, but we try to keep those specific. That is an online huge benefit, but a general feature that can work for both is going to work for both.
Right. Okay.
Correct. So why don't we just jump into it? Let's jump into a studio update. Hope everybody enjoys. First look at studio update with Reese Davis.
Time for an update from the studio. Reese, what have you got?
The Horned Frogs were ranked number 2. After that performance, how far will they fall? This game was so tight, every play seemed to be of the utmost importance. West Virginia finishes at 27-21. Elsewhere, the history of the trophy says if you want the little brown jug, you have to come and win it. Michigan and Minnesota. And for Minnesota, stubbornly keeping it on the ground and scoring a touchdown. Minnesota's on top, 7-0.
Cool. So that's our first look at a studio update, and I think what's neat about it, again, there's so many different variations that you can get right there. We had Reese reacting to a big upset in the top 25. And
welcome to the Big 12,
Yep. So the big upset, and then going into the specific rivalry speech, which is so cool about the Little Brown Jug and how that game has just started. Minnesota stubbornly keeping it on the ground. They get it in there for 7. So it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun integrating these into the game and testing them for the last few months here, and there's a lot of variety in there. So we're really hoping that you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, so much so that I really do think people are going to play with other random teams just to get those other kind of Reese-isms, I guess is the way to say it. Like what else he would say about a different school.
So what we'll look at here is we're going to give you a new pregame live look-in, so just kind of a taste of that. We're not going to show you the whole new boot flow, but this is going to be what you will see when you start every game. And this particular instance is a rivalry game between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Enjoy.
Wild. No. Anarchy. Not quite right. Chaos. Closer. Bedlam. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State getting set to square off in Bedlam. That's going to wrap it up here in the studio, but we'll be here to keep you up to date on everything else going on in college football throughout our game. But it's time for ESPN's College Football. Brad Nestler and Kirk Herbstreit on the call.
So there, again, is kind of a taste of the pregame introductions. And again, tons of variety there. Rivalry speak, team-specific things. We've got stadiums. We've got top 25 variations. So just a lot of really cool things for them to talk about.
It's not just the different things you can talk about, but in that instance there, every time you play Bedlam, it's not going to be that same piece. He's
Correct.
got multiple takes on every game. So that's the nice part, that it won't become, oh, well, here's a Bedlam speech. Every year you can set your watch to it. No, he's got different things he's going to say.
Yeah. So that's what we've got this year as far as presentation goes within Dynasty, and really, really the whole team is extremely excited, put a lot of hard work in, and excited to have it go out in the wild and have people start their dynasties up.
This is very cool, and we've got one more thing for everybody. Am I correct? We're about to show off the new Dynasty trailer. This is unseen by anyone's eyes except us. So as soon as Christian boots that up, we're going to show it.
Hold, please.
Full screen. There we go.
EA Sports. It's in the game. He's to the 20, and he's tackled at the 23. A quick update now. Here's Reese.
Let's check out an old-school, hard-nosed, smash-mouth Big Ten-style game.
All right, and that's it. That's the trailer. That's it for this show, too. We've talked about Dynasty. If you missed this show, be sure to check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/EA Sports. Also, set your calendars. Palm Pilots. I make that joke every time.
Every time. It doesn't get old.
Still funny.
Still funny. Handspring. Set your handspring for May 30th for our next live webcast when we talk about Heisman Challenge. Any idea what Heisman Challenge is about? You're not going to tell us, are you, until May 30th?
I mean, no, I'm not.
Probably going to have Alex Allen here to do that. Also, be sure to go to easports.com/NCAA-football to check out Jordan Peterson's new blog on Dynasty Mode. Also, make sure to listen.
blog here as well.
Christian, I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
It's okay.
He's got a blog too.
It's okay.
Both of them on easports.com/NCAA-football. And of course, the podcasts, which are new on Thursdays. Send your questions to us regarding this webcast with the hashtag NCAA Football 13. Hit on everything. I think I did. All right, be sure to join us again on May 30th for Heisman Challenge Mode. I'm AJ. Thanks, guys.